Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday night. We're happy to have you. It is a beautiful, kind of cool evening here in Nashville, Tennessee. The cat literally just walked into the office and started making noises as soon as I started talking. So if you hear that in the background, maybe we'll have to do something about that later. But we'll see if we can't get through this. You should have hope for the first time about your offensive line unit. And I honestly think since 2021, it's been such a shit show for the Titans, chasing the loss of both Jack Conklin and Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones over the course of these last few years, that you've just not been able to learn really anything about your offense in general, because you have been so consistently undermined by your offensive line unit. And there is reason to believe that at least in 2025, that should not constantly be the case, right? At least just get to slightly below average. That would be a marked improvement for the Tennessee Titans. And with the latest ESPN interior offensive line rankings, there is reason for Titans fans to have hope for the first time in years, which we are going to get to here in just a second. We only got 10 more days to go until training camp is officially upon us. That should get all of you excited. I know I'm looking forward to it. We've got road trips to Tampa and Atlanta. We're going to have all manner of great interviews. In fact, that reminds me, I need to send my interview list to the Titans so that we can make sure we get all the people. And in fact, you guys, feel free to DM me. Obviously, I know you'll want us to do a Cam Ward interview, and that should be pretty easy to accomplish, unless he's pissed at me because somebody told him I think his six-part Tubi documentary is a little bit gratuitous. But in the absence of that, we should be able to do a Cam Ward interview, and that should be a great. I think Cam would do it anyway. But send me your recommendations, the players, because we had Arden Key, Tajay Spears, Chigakonkwo, Cody Barton. I think those were the four that we did during the offseason program. So outside of those four, any Titans player you want to hear from, or any particular individual with the team, a coach? We did Denard Wilson with Cosell last year. That was a lot of fun. DM me on YouTube, or rather on Instagram, and give me your recommendations for which Titans players or people you want to hear from during our training camp interview series. We're going to do a bunch in Tampa and Atlanta. We're going to do a bunch here at home while they are here practicing. And I know some of those open practices are going to be ones that some of you are going to be able to attend. And you'll be looking for a variety of different things. You'll obviously be watching your quarterback, but you'll need to pay close attention, even though it's just training camp practice. You'll need to pay close attention to this offensive line group, because this Cam Ward is going to be the reason, if Cam Ward hits, he would be the reason that they dig themselves out of the basement of this division. But for him to have success, he has to be supported. And the offensive line group is going to be critical to that in this coming season and beyond. Randy Howard says, are you really excited, Buck? Or are you just hoping the season is more interesting than last year? Yeah, I mean, I was excited for last football season. It was only when I, like the rest of you, discovered that our season was collectively over in, I don't know, what, the first week of October. It was tough to give a shit about anything that was going on. And, I talked to Robert and Lucas and a couple other people about this. I was really embarrassed about the way that I handled last season, because it put me in such a foul mood, because the game stopped mattering, and there was nothing really to talk about other than to rip them for how terrible they were. So I even though it's probably not going to be a winning season or a season that has the playoffs, that would be an upset, and that would be a pleasant surprise, of course, for everybody involved. But I think last season was a good learning opportunity for me. That's the first truly awful season I've been a part of. Hell, it's really the second worst season that they've had since they became the Tennessee Titans. So that you guys went through it in 2015 before I officially started. I was here, but I wasn't yet covering the Titans. And then to go through another one like that wasn't as bad as 2015 was, but damned if it wasn't pretty close. And I honestly, I watched that entire 2015 season. That was my first year in Nashville. That was Marcus Mariota's rookie year. I might argue that last year was worse, because at least you had the hope of Marcus into future seasons, and that you knew all you had to do really was move on from Ken Wisenhunt and get rid of all those stinky defensive backs that you had, giving up explosive plays all over the place. Last year was just godforsaken on every level. So, like I said, I'm always excited for football season because, contrary to popular belief, I don't hate the Titans. I hate bad football, and they were full of bad football last year. So I'm simply excited about the idea of less bad football and the idea that Cam Ward might actually be someone worth covering. Derrick Henry was worth covering. Derrick Henry was historic, is historic, continues to be. If Cam Ward saves this franchise from, decades at this point, going on multiple decades of irrelevancy, real irrelevancy at the quarterback position, then you have my interest. You have my interest. And I know you don't care about that because you just want winning football. But I think the coverage is better when they're more interesting. So, like I said, we don't have to dwell on it too much, but we do have to talk about the things that they need to get right. And the thing that they need to get right is the offensive line group. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Lewis says, why you got to block me? Lewis, you wouldn't be commenting if you were blocked. So I'm not sure what you're complaining about there. And even if I don't think unless Robert blocked you, I don't know that I possess the ability to block people. And if I do, I don't know how to do it. Anyway, that would be very useful because I see a lot of stupid shit in the comment section that I would love to block, but I've never really paid enough attention to figure out how to block somebody. Anyway, speaking of blocking things, we are going to need to talk about this offensive line group. Share the show around. You know the routine. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever you are spending your precious and valuable Sunday evening here with us, please share the show. Text the link to a friend if you're so inclined. We do appreciate your participation. It's always fun for us to see new names and faces in the chat. So once you've done that, we'll go ahead and get this thing rolling. And as more of you trickle in, we'll look forward to talking about it together. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday, July the 13th. Ooh, a week until my birthday. I'm not going to be here on my birthday. I'm not doing prime time on my birthday. But just in case you guys wanted to, say nice things to me a week from now, just so you know, put it on your radar. Robert needs to make sure that he gets me something nice. So does Lucas, but Lucas is in Brazil, and I'm sure Lucas is the last thing Lucas is thinking about while he's on a beach in Brazil with his lovely fiance Megan is my birthday. But 7 days from now, you better get it right. Anyway, proud as always to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Quality, American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what they have for you. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet and get that employee pricing for everyone. Or online at tworiversford.com. TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. They are there to help you accomplish your fitness goals, no matter what your level of fitness is. TrueMath Fitness is there to help you through that process. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free, which is always a nice carrot. So, the offensive line unit is something that they have been trying to get right for years and years and years, and they failed spectacularly. Basically, since the situation with Lawan blew his ACL it was either week 5 or week 6 of the 2020 season, whichever game it was against the Texans at home. Taylor went down, and they were a decent unit that season. It was a hell of a year for the offense in general, and it was certainly a better offensive line unit than the thing that they have fielded or the things that they have fielded in the last couple of years. But because Taylor on Facebook says started with Isaiah Wilson. No, it really didn't. It started way before that. It started in 2020, and really it started in the off season of 2020, because Isaiah was drafted in 2020. You are correct. But the thing that was the biggest domino was Jack Conklin. They did not retain Jack Conklin. He went to the Cleveland Browns at the time on a 3-year contract, and he was going to make a substantial amount of money. And there was some question as to whether Jack Conklin was actually worth that contract. And his health had not been, the most reliable thing. Speaking of ACL tears, Conklin had struggled working to get back. And in retrospect, it is very easy, as B. Friend says, to say we should have kept they should have kept Jack Conklin. But nobody was really banging the table for that because you had Dennis Kelly. And Dennis, at the time, was a good enough player that you thought, okay, well, Dennis plus a rookie, you should be able to survive the loss of Jack Conklin. At the time, it made sense to move on. Now, when they let Jack Conklin walk, the pandemic had not yet hit. And by the time that the pandemic had hit and the scouting process had been so interrupted, and the draft process for teams like the Titans, I don't know that anybody got it as wrong in the COVID then post-COVID drafting cycle than John Robinson before he ultimately met his professional demise. But the Titans really, really struggled to get it right after that because it wasn't just Isaiah Wilson. So first it was Conklin, then it was Isaiah Wilson, then it was the season with Lewan, where Lewan blew out his knee, and you had one of the better offensive line units in football. You ended up having the statistically best offensive season in the Titans era. And so you weren't really worried about it, even though Isaiah's crash out was infamous at this point, and to the point where, a first round pick from 2020 hasn't been in the league for several years at this point in time. And the nicest thing that you can say about Isaiah is that you hope he's still alive out there. And I don't say that in jest, like genuinely the trajectory that individual was on, and, to some extent probably continues to be on, makes you concerned for his overall well-being, just from a humanity standpoint. Now, he failed you miserably, and you don't have to like the guy, but you don't have to, you can still have a shred of humanity about it and say, yeah, hope he's physically and frankly mentally okay with where things seem to be heading. But we don't have to dwell on Isaiah. So the domino effect was Conklin first, followed by Isaiah, followed by Lewan, and it puts you in this death spiral that you still, to date, haven't been able to dig yourself out of, because even drafting J.C. Latham was the thing that was supposed to solidify your left tackle. And J.C. was fine, but he wasn't good enough to keep that left tackle job. So you pay Dan Moore, you move J.C. to right, and you hope that with Kevin Zeitler and hopefully, if you're a Titans fan, a healthy Lloyd Cushenberry, and for Lloyd's sake, you hope that he's able to get right and get back as soon as he's not in danger of re-injuring himself, right? Achilles are tricky, especially for human beings of that size and that weight. In particular, this is the best it should be. It should be the best offensive line unit that you fielded since 2020, because you'll remember, though 2020 was filled with mistakes, you really didn't feel the ripple effects of those mistakes until 2022. 2022 is when things, the wheels had finally come off the thing, and that was again the product of bad decisions over a period of time and failures over a period of time. Lewis says of Isaiah, he was a New York Giant. I think he's a Dolphin now. No, the Titans, it's crazy that the Titans were able to trade Isaiah Wilson to anybody, but the Dolphins traded a 7th-round pick for Isaiah Wilson. Then they cut him. Then I think he ended up on the Giants practice squad for like a week. No, he was there for a little longer, but it wasn't very long at all. And he's since been out of the league. I think his last time on a practice squad or roster was 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that's been 3 seasons, coming up on 3 seasons ago. And that's a first-round pick who should just be getting ready to have his 5th-year option at least considered, right? But again, we saw the progression of this over time, a domino effect, and it's put you in the position that you've been desperately trying to dig yourself out of. Now you feel like you're at least treading water. I don't think you're going to be a good offensive line, quote unquote, but I do think that it's going to give you legitimate hope that you're not going to be nuked by your offensive line play in and play out, down in and down out, to the point where you couldn't operate. You couldn't operate at all. So the Two Rivers Ford take that we will start with here this evening is, where do you expect the Titans offensive line group to be ranked out of 32 offensive line units by the end of the season? And let's just assume, and this is obviously not a safe assumption, but let's just assume that things are healthy, right? That everybody's healthy all year long, and that the roster or the offensive line group that 32 teams start the regular season with are the same 32 offensive line units that they end with. On 1 to 32, where do you expect the Titans offensive line to rank at the end of the upcoming season. We'll talk about it together. I'll tell you where Pro Football Focus projects them here in just a second. I'll also tell you what NFL executives, scouts, and coaches had to say about your two of your three interior offensive linemen. But where do you expect them to be ranked? You could be bold or, stupid or potentially drunk and say you rank them number one. You could be super pessimistic and say, until I see something other than what I've seen, they're 32 until I say otherwise. And that's completely fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Of course, you could always pick somewhere in between. But given the additions that you've made and the first round draft capital that you've invested, where do you expect them to fall if, again, assuming they're all healthy, and that's not an assumption that you can make, somebody's going to miss some time at some point throughout the course of the season, whether it's on their offensive line unit or another one or 10 other offensive line units around the league, where do you expect them to fall by the end of the season? We will talk about it together right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take, of course, is presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer, and that, of course, is Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and over 4 decades of award-winning customer service. Employee pricing for everyone is new this year for Two Rivers Ford, and they are proud to present it to you because they want to make sure that you always enjoy the car buying process and make it fast, easy, and more fun for you. Two Rivers Ford does exactly that, and with that employee pricing, you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information today. All right. So, Pro Football Focus did their offensive line unit rankings last week. And they may even have done them last weekend. But where they had the Titans offensive line slotted in was not the worst, but they had them in the bottom 10 of the offensive line units in the NFL, and they had them ranked 24th. Now, there's reason for optimism. And again, 24th is better, right? 24th is significantly better than what the Titans have fielded in certainly the last 2 years, and you might argue the last 3 years, going back to 2022. But 24th is still bottom half of the league, bottom 10 in the NFL, and I'm sure that I would assume that most of you do expect a unit with an $82 million tackle, for example, in Dan Moore, and 2 first-round picks in Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham, the center who at the time, and I think he still holds this title, Lloyd Cushenberry was paid the most guaranteed money a center's ever gotten last year. So really the only odd man out there is Zeitler, and Zeitler's honestly been the best offensive lineman from a career standpoint. He's been the best offensive lineman out of any of them. So when you take all that into consideration, but of course the thing with Zeitler, I add parenthetically, is that he's going to be 36, and that's that it's just a matter of time. It's not if, but when. He no longer is, as he was last year, the third best guard in all of football. But he still last year was the third best guard in all of football, at least according to Pro Football Focus. So Pro Football Focus grades are not the end-all be-all, but they are a good way of kind of projecting and informing and understanding how things kind of played themselves out week by week. And when they do the cumulative things at the end of the season, 24th is where they have projected the Titans offensive line. Now, is there room for variance there? Of course, things could always be worse than 24th. God knows the last couple of years that the Titans have fielded an offensive line, they would be lucky to not be 32. And more often than not, they have been 32, depending on which metrics you look at. They have certainly been bottom 3, at best bottom 3 in the last 3 years. So to improve from 32 or 31 or 30 to 24 is a significant improvement. It's still below league average, and you would like for at least this unit, for the amount that you have invested both financially and draft capital wise, for this to be a markedly improved unit. Taylor says Madden had Zeitler rated 91 overall with the Lions. I bet my paycheck Madden drops him to 80 with the Titans Madden penalty. Well, it's not even a Titans Madden penalty. Ramon Foster, who played 11 years for one of the most successful organizations in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers, he calls it the Titans tax, where people don't care about the Titans. And it's not even like, because I was having this discussion on, you guys some of you may know that I'm doing a lot of Fox Sports radio nationally on the weekends now with my buddy Jason Fitz, who also used to work here in Nashville. Fitzy's now in Connecticut, but we do Fox Sports together on the weekends, and we got into a conversation about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right, they just paid their 3 top stars on a not a national championship winning team, but a world championship winning team. Right, they are the NBA Finals champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They shelled out all manner of money. Says, you may know that I'm more famous now, quoting me. Yes, in fact, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that more people will hate me for how much I rip their teams, not just you guys. Which maybe you're going to miss the fact that it was just you that I was shitting on, because I just ripped the Bears apart and the Browns this weekend. It's fun to be able to do this to other teams and not just beat up on one shitty team all the time. Even though you would like for the shitty teams to improve, and certainly if I'm going to watch the shitty team every Sunday for the rest of the foreseeable future, until such time as somebody fires me for it, I would like for that shitty team to improve, so at least we can all enjoy these things a little bit more together. But my point is, we were talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and nobody cares really nationally. You think you've got it bad? You've got it bad. You think you've got it bad because nobody wants to talk about your football team. When in reality, nobody cares, right? They don't care about what the Titans are doing. Cam Ward is arguably the most overlooked number 1 overall pick in the history of football, and he plays for a franchise that is wholly irrelevant. Now imagine the Titans won the Super Bowl, and you gave out all manner of giant contracts, and you kept the core of that Super Bowl winning roster together, and you turned on ESPN the next day, and you wanted to hear all manner of good things about, the defending Super Bowl champions. They're running it back. Look at how good they did in bringing back all the different things that made them successful. And nobody cared, because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys the lead on ESPN the next day, because Cowboys are more interesting and more important nationally. That's what Thunder fans are dealing with right now. So I know that you guys think you have it bad, or that national media hates you. The reality is that they don't hate you at all. They simply could not care less about you. And Oklahoma City is probably livid these last couple of days, because not only did they win it, not only are they the best team since the 95 and 96 Jordan Bulls by the amount of games that they won en route to winning a championship, but they paid all 3 of the big 3 players that helped make them that kind of a success, and still nobody cares. So that is something. My point being, when you see rankings like the Titans tax, or the Madden tax, or whatever the case may be, Ramon calls it the Titans tax, where players go to the Titans and people knock them for it because people don't care about the Titans. They don't want to watch the Titans, and they don't think that the Titans are going to be good, because the Titans have had stretches, obviously, of success, but they've never been a sustainably good franchise, really, outside the last 6 years. That's one of the best runs. I know they didn't get a Super Bowl appearance out of it, but sustainably 6 consecutive winning seasons is about as good a run as this franchise has had since they moved to Tennessee. So you're probably right that he's going to be an 80 as opposed to being a 91, because Detroit's more fun and a lot more interesting to talk about, and has a lot more pieces that people recognize. And yeah, they're probably going to be worse this year, but they'll still be talked about more, because the Lions are a big fan base and all these different things. And yeah, if Kevin Zeitler ends up being an 80 on Madden because he plays for the Titans, that's one of the most predictable things in the world. Should you care about that? No, you shouldn't give a shit. The only thing that you should care about is that an 80 is better than what you had if you're going by Madden ratings. Now, I still think they're going to be a below average unit. And to hear Bill Callahan talk about, Bill Callahan is going to help things, right? He certainly won't hurt them at this point. And we'll hear from Bill Callahan here. And Bert says he's a 91 again, talking about Kevin Zeitler. How about that? Beat the odds, Kevin Zeitler. Maybe when they update it before week 1, he'll get dinged. But Bert, who is Madden out, Robert? Oh, but the ratings have been leaked? Okay, so the ratings have been leaked for Madden, even if the game is not yet out there. Anyway, the thing that you pray helps elevate your unit beyond, let's say, 24th, is Bill Callahan, who talked at great length about Kevin Zeitler and a couple of other pieces on this offensive line group.
Yeah,
he's fun to be around with because he's a vet who loves football. He loves football, and his enthusiasm is like he's a rookie again. You know, what I mean, he takes it very seriously. He wants to know everything. He has he has such a thirst for the knowledge and more techniques and more ideas and more strikes and anything you can give him, he's hungry for. So that's unique for a 14, 15-year vet, to see a guy who's willing to come in and adapt and change and look at new ideas. So that old story of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I think that's a little bit different for him. I think he can, and he wants to. So as long as he wants to, we'll keep feeding him as much stuff as we can.
Optimism about a Titans offensive line group? Dare you speak it into existence? Listen, if they ended up being if they ended up breaking like the top 20, that would be an outright unmitigated success. They would have made such huge progress from what they have been, which is arguably at any given point in any given season in the last 3 seasons, the worst offensive line group in football. I know that Bill Callahan is more excited about this year's group. And I think Bill Callahan is excited every year, and I think he relishes the opportunity to teach. But once you understood, you can't do anything with, for example, Nicholas Petit-Frere. This is a hopeless situation. You just can't get him out of here fast enough. And I guess the Niners felt the same because he was on their offseason program roster for like a week and a half. They also, by the way, in San Francisco have Andre Dillard, which is crazy. So I guess they could only have one shitty former Titans tackle. And NPF, as a former 3rd-round pick, is not currently on an NFL roster, which again is crazy. So with that, and Bill Callahan and Dan Moore helping solve both the left and the right tackle problem because of the ability to move JC back to a position that he hopefully will end up being better at. He wasn't a bad left tackle last year, but he was a rookie left tackle that struggled playing the position for the first time since high school, really. And that showed, right? J.C. Latham is not mentioned, not given an honorable mention, not somebody receiving votes even in the top 10 offensive tackles as voted on by league executives, scouts, and coaches. The top 10 offensive tackles this year was Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell, Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, Jordan Mailata. That's the top 5. Then you get into Rashawn Slater, Laramie Tunsil, Deion Dawkins, Christian Darrisaw, and Andrew Thomas. Joe Alt is on here as an honorable mention player. J.C. Latham is not mentioned, nor did he receive votes from the people polled. Now, the interior of the offensive line is viewed more favorably. Honorable mention went to Peter Skoronski. This year, Kevin Zeitler did receive votes, even though he was not considered a top 10 interior offensive lineman, even though he graded out as the 3rd best guard in the NFL last year. The top 10 interior offensive linemen are Creed Humphrey, Tyler Smith, Quentin Nelson, Trey Smith, Landon Dickerson, Joe Thuney. Is it Thuney or Thuney? I can't always get that wrong. Chris Lindstrom, Quinn Meinertz of the Broncos, Elton Jenkins, and Tyler Linderbaum, the center from the Baltimore Ravens. So at least Peter Skoronski and Zeitler are getting votes and are considered to be above average by league executives and coaches and scouts. J.C. Latham is going to have to prove it at right tackle. I thought he was fine, right? But fine is not good enough in a league where there are elite tackles all over the place. And I don't necessarily think that J.C. Latham should get votes until we start to see that. J.C. Latham could end up being the best offensive lineman on this group, right? I mean, he's a number 7 overall pick. I saw some pushback earlier this offseason at some point during the OTAs, and I can't remember what brought it about, but maybe it was Brian Callahan mentioned something about how like J.C. Latham's been the best offensive lineman group in the offensive lineman in the offseason. He said something to that effect. And I tweeted out the clip, and there was one dipshit that got into the comment section and said, "That's a disaster." And and maybe you're just conditioned, that person's just conditioned to think, oh my God, the Titans offensive line, what a nightmare. I suppose there are worse sins, but if the number 7 overall pick isn't the best offensive lineman on your unit, then he's probably not worthy of the number 7 overall pick. So we'll see whether that comes to fruition or not. But this is going to be the best offensive line. It should be. It should be the best offensive line group that you've had since the 2020 season. And, maybe that's a short-term thing because, again, Zeitler's 36 and Dan Moore may not be worth the 4-year deal that he got. And maybe Lloyd Cushenberry is never the same player on a busted Achilles coming back this year, which would suck. That would suck. But that's the most pessimistic version of that argument. And I still think that there's reason. I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about Skoronski. And if I was a Titans fan, I would be genuinely excited about J.C. Latham. I think he's going to be a really good player for you. And that is not something that I've been comfortable saying at any point about Titans offensive linemen in the last 3 or 4 years. All right, we'll do a little Sunday fun day and wrap things up for the evening. What's the best thing you saw on the internet this weekend? Let me know in the comments section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We will talk about it collectively together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by none other than True Math Fitness in the Gulch, where you go for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident, where they go above and beyond with the best coaching staff, the best workouts, whether it be group fitness, weightlifting and personal training, or the ability to just work out in their top-notch facility as you please. True Math Fitness is there to help you. They are the best. They are there to make sure that no matter what your level of fitness is, that you are able to accomplish your fitness goals. As long as you're willing to put in the work, they will do the work. I don't want to say they will do the work for you, because of course you will have to do the work, but they will make that feel not like work. And a lot of times it can, if you're somebody who's, fallen out of shape or doesn't enjoy working out or anything like that. It can be tough to kind of get yourself going. True Math makes it really as turnkey as humanly possible. And like I said, I'm incredibly grateful to them for helping me drop, 48 pounds a couple of years ago. And more importantly, help me keep it off, which is the harder part, because so many of us yo-yo when it comes to weight loss that way. But True Math Fitness will not disappoint. Your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident at truemathfitness.com. All right. So what's the best thing that you saw on the internet this weekend? Randy Howard is submitting Robert Walsh drunk as shit at WWE SmackDown on Saturday night. Do you want to defend yourself? Are you mad at me because I posted drunk videos of you on the internet? You have nothing to say for yourself? What's wrong with you? What? Oh, you're in the middle of playing college football. That's right.
No, if you want to hear about SmackDown, you can listen to the radio on Monday.
You're gatekeeping the primetime audience?
You better show up. Them YouTube numbers for the Zone got to go up a little bit now.
Oh, okay. I guess the WWE talk is embargoed until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I did not realize that he was going to gatekeep you all like that, but I suppose since we have more time to talk about shit and Lucas is gone all week. By the way, what the hell is Robert going to do without both Lucas and me on Friday? That honestly, I won't tune in because I'll be on vacation for my birthday. But I would be curious. I would like to know the feedback from the audience. What the hell Robert is doing without Lucas and me? For just one day. It's just one day that he's without the both of us. But I can't imagine that will no, I'm sure it'll be fine. I think it's Rhett Bryan and Kevin Dyson, the living legend, Kevin Dyson, hanging out for me and the Brazilian butt lift Lucas Panzica. Anyway, I think that there are a couple of things. WWE, by the way, was awesome. And we can get into more detail tomorrow about that, but I was shocked by how much. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be shocked because you get drunk enough at anything, you're probably going to have a good time if you're somebody who imbibes that way. But I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed it and how, frankly, impressed I was by it. But we can get into that a little later on. The best thing that I saw on the internet this week was a Brazilian jockey race. Not jockeys on horses, but jockeys coming out of the gates and racing like horses.
Se da la partida de la carrera de jinetes inmediatamente. José Ávila por dentro con Rodrigo Alonso. Están peleando la punta y abierto lo hace Adrián Tután. Rodrigo Alonso por dentro, un cuerpo. El segundo lugar para Adrián Tután en línea con José Ávila y llegaron. A continuación finaliza José Letona, John Américo Flores, Chichi Torres. Gana de punta a punta Rodrigo Alonso del Stud Saratoga.
It's hard to believe that was only 10 yards.
There's no way. Stop it.
That's 10 yards. That's only 10 yards.
No, that's not 10 yards. Stop
And
it.
again, I'm telling you, they're just really tiny.
I mean, I know jockeys are diminutive by nature. Also, it's Peruvian. I think I misspoke and said Brazilian. But okay, let's watch this. There's no way.
Se da la partida de la carrera de jinetes inmediatamente. José Ávila por dentro con Rodrigo Alonso. Están peleando la punta y abierto lo hace Adrián Tután. Rodrigo Alonso por dentro, un cuerpo. El segundo lugar para Adrián Tután en línea con José Ávila y llegaron. A continuación finaliza José Letona, John Américo Flores, Chichi Torres. Gana de punta a punta Rodrigo Alonso del Stud Saratoga.
La Chicha Madre. Some of those names are badass. Hold on. I got to add it so I can fast forward. We ain't got to watch the whole thing.
Se da la partida de la carrera de jinetes Ávila y llegada. José Letona, John Américo Flores,
de Flores,
Chichi Torres.
Chichi Torres.
Gana de punta a punta.
America or Americo or America?
I don't. Yeah, that's
John Américo Flores.
Young America Flores.
Americo
That's so
Flores.
badass.
Followed by Chichi Torres is crazy.
Chichi Torres.
Chichi Torres.
Gana de punta a punta Rodrigo Alonso.
Punta punta.
I think that's a bad word in Spanish.
See, that's what I thought. I thought he was like what you always say, complaining. Every time I hear you say it on the radio show, when you're like, "Oh, they were bitching about this," I always get scared.
I can say bitching on the radio.
I know, but it's still scary. You can't be like, "You bitch." You can't do that on the radio.
No, I can't do that, but I don't do that. I just
no,
say
you don't.
I'm bitching about
No, I'm just saying it's still scary. Like when somebody's like, "Oh shit." Like but they don't say shit. They go like, "Oh."
I almost did that on Fox. I don't think I've ever screwed. I've definitely screwed up on primetime. It's an internet.
You've screwed up on the radio before.
No, I haven't.
You've come back from vacation and you were like, I mean, what the fuck? Are you?
No, I didn't. I've never. You are the only one who dropped.
I said it. Said it on the Oh damn! I really just. I didn't even realize I just said it, but you've done it. Yeah, I've had to dump you before because you came back and you're like, "Oh, I'm still on vacation. Oh, I'm still on."
I don't believe you. I don't.
Okay. Next time
also,
it happens,
that's not 10 yards. They could be. They could be. They could be ants.
No shit, you idiot! It's not.
That's
10 yards.
That's like 30 yards. It might be 100 yards.
I don't know how long it is. They're tiny though. Why do we have this in the way? Let's hear the names again. I love these names. I want to know what my name would be, and I would want to hear him say my name.
José Letona, John Américo Flores, Chichi Torres. Gana de punta a punta Rodrigo Alonso del Stud Saratoga.
I'm sure we have offended somebody and are not.
What? I ain't. My name is Robert. My name is Robert. I don't have a cool name like Chichidore. That is badass. I'm gonna name my son Cheyenne. Our first boy is gonna be named Chichidore.
It's Chichi Torres.
Chichi Torres. Walsh. Have a good.
All right. Yeah, I think that's enough prime time for one night. Shortened prime time week because I am going to California for a couple of days at the end of the week. So I'll be back tomorrow. You'll have Easton on Tuesday. I'll be back Wednesday. And then no Thursday prime time. But I'm going to make up for it by doing 6 hours of radio. 3 hours with Fox from 5 to 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, and then 3 hours of the local show with Robert before I head out west and take a couple of days off for the last weekend off before training camp. Think about that. 10 days, you guys. 10 days, and then we're back and ready to go for the real thing. So we'll look forward to that. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and I will see you tomorrow morning where we'll talk about the WWE, I guess, because me and Robert did go to SmackDown on Friday night and had a hell of a time. We will look forward to seeing you there tomorrow morning, and yeah, that's all I got.